Wait. Before we start, just want to make sure we're clear here. While this podcast talks about sobriety, mental health, and addiction, it is not meant to replace professional medical advice. Welcome to Sisters in Sobriety.
I'm Kathleen.
And I'm Sonia.
And we're ex-sisters-in-law, brought together in marriage and bonded through our sobriety journey.
Join us as we talk sobriety, addiction, and everything in between. You're in for quite a ride. And our Substack is buzzing with amazing content, from creative mocktail recipes to insightful courses and reflective exercises. There is something for everyone. Don't miss out. It's a great way to add some extra joy and depth to your journey. Check it out. Welcome to Sisters in Sobriety. Today we are joined by Heather Chappell and Zoe Kachan, the hosts of Girls Undrunk, podcast that dives into sobriety in a way that's raw, honest, and unexpectedly funny.
Today, we are talking about early sobriety and what it actually feels like, the moments that surprise you, and how to keep going when everything in you wants to go back. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah,
we don't know why we're not doing this in studio, since we just found out we're all in the same space, essentially.
That was the quick. Okay, so I thought you guys were in New York. You thought that we were in New York, but we are all in Toronto right now.
Yeah. Good to know. Nice to meet you. Happy to have you.
Yeah, we can hang out after, even though we're in the middle of like a thunderstorm here.
I know. Well, obviously you have a lot of stories to tell us, so I'll be waiting for those.
Well, speaking of stories, can you guys tell us a little bit about your personal stories and just kind of walk us through your sobriety journeys and what life looked like before you decided to stop drinking?
Yeah, I'll start. Yeah, I got sober 3 years ago on March 5th. I started drinking. I think like where I really pin it to is my last year of college, and then I moved to New York, and all of these like anxiety feelings, depression feelings really, really started to amp up. And I think I was always feeling them my whole life, but I just had coping mechanisms from when I was a kid, like OCD. Like I thought, what is it when hypochondria, everything. I was just like full in protective behaviors all the time. And then once I moved to New York, I somehow, in that extremely busy city, I was so lonely. And I was like, okay, well, alcohol is my friends now. And I just did that, ended up losing my visa kind of because of that. I just wasn't auditioning, going to class, finding jobs. So I ended up moving back to Toronto, which I was just like excusing away and being like, oh, I want to be in Toronto. It's okay. Like my life is moving. I'm changing. But that broke my heart to leave New York, and the drinking just continued. I remember when I moved to Toronto, sitting on my couch being like, oh, I've been drunk every single day for a year. And I remember saying that to myself and then being like, what are we going to do? Nothing. And then I kind of just tried to live my life in Toronto, like different jobs, pretending to like retail, pretending to like fashion, all the while drinking more and more, getting into relationships that weren't good. And then eventually my ex moved to New York and broke up with me because of all of my drinking. It was like a huge point of contention. And then I spent after he broke up with me, I spent a year just really diving into drinking. I quit my job. I just was pretending to get my real estate license
For a year.
Every day, every time I'd go see my dad, and he'd be like, so how many months left you got? And I'm like, oh, like I have I'm not doing homework. I'm not doing exams. And so that whole thing was just like every single day I'm waking up more and more of a loser. And the only way to combat that is to drink more. And then I was like, there were times where I was having heart palpitations. I was winded all the time. I could hardly breathe. I was throwing up every single day. Like I just was not functioning. I got scared enough by my own symptoms that I was like, okay, for like maybe like a month, I was like, I got to go to rehab. And then one day I was listening to, probably for like the 7th time, Day 7, Dax Shepard's relapse episode. And I was like, drunk, and I'm like, I'm calling rehab. And I just looked online. I looked on Luxury Rehabs Canada. And then the first one that came up was in Muskoka. And I was like, all right, I'm calling. And I just like made that call that day. And then 2 weeks later, I was there. So that's kind of my like elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch to sobriety.
Yeah. That was the question, right?
Yeah, that was the
both of you.
question. It was, yeah, for both of you. So thank you for sharing
My
that.
turn.
Yeah,
Got it.
your turn.
So yeah, I think my drinking started when I moved to Sarnia from Oakville. I moved like 2 weeks before I started grade 9, so I knew no one in high school. So I kind of like, I remember my brother and I, like, it was a competition to who made a friend first and who brought a friend home first. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a friend first, whatever. And so I was always just trying to fit in. And that looked like, especially in a small town like Sarnia, it looked like drinking and doing a lot of drugs. So I did that and I loved it. Like, it is fun for a little bit until it's not fun anymore, until you rely on it. And I quickly relied on it. I remember my dad, like I was probably in grade 10, said something to me when I got home, really hungover one morning. He was like, this is going to be a problem. Like, your drinking is going to be a problem. I think he knew right then that he was going to have to deal with an alcoholic, and he did. I moved to the city after high school. I was working like serving jobs while going to school, showing up to school drunk. My professors like had to take care of me multiple times and like was worried about me. And I got fired from every job that I had. Like probably 4 jobs I lost in the city. And I had like boyfriends. The boyfriends that I dated back then were people that condoned my drinking. Like just drinking buddies. I don't think I liked any of them looking back on it. And then when COVID happened, I was in the city and I had already like knew I was going to end up killing myself if I stayed in the city because my friends weren't seeing me anymore. Like all my friend group was taking COVID very seriously and I wasn't going to have to see anybody. So I knew if I stayed in the city, I was going to end up dying. So I moved back to Sarnia. I thought temporarily, but it ended up being like over a year or probably 2 years because I got a boyfriend in Sarnia who even like condoned my morning drinking. I remember I went to his cottage in the summer and he like cracked a beer open with me at 9 a.m. and I was like, oh, perfect. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then like that relationship obviously blew up in flames, very toxic on both sides. I remember like leaving him to sleep with his best friend and calling him like while I was at his best friend's house, like very bad shit. And then I was like, we broke up and I was still in Sarnia. I got my DUI. I couldn't drive and Sarnia is not a walkable city. And I was just like miserable. I was trying to go to therapy. I hated all my therapists. They didn't understand me. When I was living in Toronto, originally I was like going to CAMH. Nothing was like working. I was trying to control my drinking, but I would keep getting hammered and blacking out and ruining my life. So I was like, hey, I got to go to Toronto. My life is going to be better back there. I just need to get out of Sarnia. This is where it started and it's going to end here. So I'm going to go back to the city. And then I am back in the city. I'm going to job interviews, trying to get my life set up back here and obviously showing up to job interviews drunk. I remember filling out like a form that they gave me, and that's all I remember. Like, I don't remember going home. I don't remember anything else. I was trying to meet up with my friends and just to like have lunch, and I physically couldn't get on the subway. I remember I was just like, my mom had been telling me to go to rehab for years at this point, and I was like, no, no, no. I was like, honestly, this is my last resort. Like, I had ended up at a hospital like probably 6 times at this point too. I used to jump on the edge of my balcony, like that was my thing. And I lived on the 46th floor, which is scary as fuck. And I knew I couldn't meet up with my friends, and I was like, I can't do anything. I can't get a job. I can't even see my friends. What am I doing in the city? And I was like, the last thing I haven't tried is rehab. And I didn't want to go to the rehab that my mom chose. I think she chose one in Muskoka. And I just looked up Rehabs Toronto, and Addiction Rehab Toronto came up first. And I was like, that one. And I think I called I called the rehab and I was like, I'm coming. And they were like, no, you're not. You got to like get sober. You got to not be
Detox.
drunk,
Yeah.
detox. And then I was like, no, I'm coming. I banged on the door drunk to the rehab. They wouldn't let me in. And then I went to the hospital. And then like 24 hours after that, my parents came and got me and took me to rehab properly.
She's just trying to get to rehab.
No, it's like, just let me in.
I know.
Yeah, it's a long story, but that's the most part.
Yeah.
So were the first 30, 60, or 90 days of your sobriety in rehab?
How long were you there?
I was there for just under 2 months.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was there for 30 days.
Okay, so when we talk about early sobriety, can we talk about when you got out of rehab and what those kind of first 90 days were like for both of you?
So yeah. So we never really talk about that. I feel like the first few days.
Mhm.
But when I was leaving rehab, I was a mess. I was in tears. I was crying. I was I mean, obviously, like, I loved rehab so much. I've made like some of my best friends there. Not that we necessarily like have kept in touch, but it's camp and I loved it. But I was sad to leave everybody, but I was terrified. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I've never been able to do anything in my life or follow through with anything. And so I'm like, this is the biggest hurdle in my life. There's no fucking way. So I'm like, I'll just live in rehab forever. I'll stay here. But leaving, I remember just like being on the drive home. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, you are going back to the same apartment. You're not drinking. And within a few days, I think like the first 2 days, I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. I have a rehab high. And then I remember being at the dog park. And that's where I also did a lot of my drinking. And I was like, oh shit, I want to drink. I think I might. I was like, I might just walk to the wine rack. Like, and that was really in my head of like, but like a conscious conversation I was having in my head. Like, no, like, you are an alcoholic. You do drink. People relapse. Like, why? Just, you probably will. And I had that thought on the way home. And then I just didn't go to the wine rack. I had a thought like, we had this guy, Sam, and he would come in from CA and he was this like giant Italian man. And he used to just tell us, don't pick up. Don't pick up. That's all you have to do is like, don't go and get drugs. Don't go and get wine, whatever. And I was just thinking that. I'm like, okay, all I have to do is just not get it. And then I went home. And my first I would say year, but definitely the first 90 days, I was waking up at 6 a.m., working out, doing all these things. And then I was in bed by 5 p.m. Like, I was trying to figure out a way to curb my cravings. And they were so bad between 3 and 7 p.m. And I was like, okay, if I can make it to 5 p.m., I can do my half an hour long skincare and then get into bed and watch a movie. And as long as I'm in bed, home base, I'm safe. So I was just doing that. And so when I met Zoe would be like, do you want to go to dinner? And I'd be like, well, no, because I'm in bed at 5. So I had to push that a little bit. But the first 90 days, definitely I was in protective mode, but I was good. I was feeling, I think rehab is really good for that. It sets you up, gives you a high and then a high element. But then the 90 days, I think that set me up for a good, at least protection routine.
They do say early sobriety, you do feel euphoria because you're like, oh my God, I got this. I am going to do this. And then eventually that does come crashing down. And then it's what tools do you have then to protect yourself? And going back to that guy, Sam, the Italian man in rehab, I had a man in rehab that just screamed at us and you will relapse, you will die.
Yeah.
And that is in my, that's one of the things that stands out for me in rehab. And it's true. If we relapse, we will probably die.
Yeah.
So it was very close for me. You were having heart palpitations, who knows what could have happened. And addiction is so serious, and at the end of the day, I am happy in my life now. I don't want to die. That really scares me that I almost did that to myself. So just remembering that this isn't a joke. Your life isn't a joke.
What surprised you guys the most in early recovery?
When I went into rehab, one of the biggest things I would get on, any drug I've ever done, I just like to get on the phone and start chatting. Like, I love a chat. I love to be around people. I love talking to people. And I also thought I was really funny. Like, that's the kind of guy I am. And so when I went to rehab, I was so scared. I was like, well, if I'm not drinking, how am I going to talk to anybody? Mind you, my last like few years of living, drinking, I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just in my house all day with my dog. But I was very nervous. I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what my personality is. I don't know what's funny. I don't know what people want from me. And then within a few days of rehab, I was like, no, we are all going to be best friends. And like within a few days, it was like, we're talking about our trauma. We're having the best time, you know? So then I was able to be like, oh, no, okay, like that's all me. I'm in there. The alcohol was actually making it worse. And I'm not that funny when I'm drunk. But being social, actually having a personality was really surprising to me. And I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And I thought like I was just like depressed like before I went to rehab, but after like the alcohol and the drugs were taken away, I was like, oh no, like I was just like the drinking and the drugging was making me depressed. Like I'm actually like I don't feel those thoughts. Like I was making myself feel those thoughts through substances.
Yeah.
So realizations almost of like who you actually were, almost both of you, right? Like what your baseline sober state was actually was the surprising part.
And I still think I'm trying to figure that out, honestly. It's been 3 years, and I also, like, I'm not just an alcoholic. I have, like, mental health issues. Like, I have depression. I have anxieties. Like, I've always had those. And I'm still trying to figure out who I am as a sober person and, like, what I can handle, what I can't, what I like, men, sex, all of these things. My body is, like, relearning. And I think you do too. Like, we have to give ourselves grace and patience sometimes where it's like, my body doesn't know what I'm doing because it's never done it sober. So I'm anxious or I'm upset or I'm defiant and I don't want to do it. But it's so many things you're relearning over the course of like 10 years, you know, or relearning.
Yeah. It's like I remember someone saying you're as young as you were when you started drinking. So like I'm 3 years sober and I started drinking at 15. So like I'm really only like 18, 19 right now. And that's kind of like how I feel. Like, I'm just like really learning who I am every day. And that is fine. Like I'm just so grateful that I got to learn this now as like a person who's 27 and like no matter how old you are, like you can always go back and choose sobriety.
It's also great that we're great with great personalities, you know? We're not full duds. This is my dog.
So lucky.
This is
Yeah,
Nike.
I've heard that so many times and it's so accurate. Like I was like 14, 15 when I started drinking, and that is like the age I stopped like developing in like certain ways. And so the biggest way I stopped developing was like developing coping mechanisms for like my mental health. And so when you look back, and you guys have both mentioned anxiety and depression, but what role did mental health play in your drinking and then in your sobriety? Because I remember like the hardest thing when I got sober was like I hadn't thought about emotional sobriety, or like I wasn't in therapy. And I remember just being like, like I have to sit with this, like this, like and I was the same way where I had that. If I could get to 5 o'clock, I was like, can I just get in bed? Like, or did I did the whole day. I did it.
I made it here. Emotional. Okay, mental health. Mine was waiting for me for sure, and I feel like that alcohol and drugs and men, I think, had been just waiting for me to get there. Like my addiction was just floating around being like, okay, when's she going to grasp on, you know? Because I was a mess. I've always struggled. I've always had really high highs, really low lows. And the thing about alcohol is like, it does help. Like you said before, like you didn't work on any coping mechanisms. And it's like, babe, you found the coping mechanism that works for you. And it's not good, but it works. And so when I found drinking, I remember drinking in college at a party and being like, oh my God, I'm me. Like I can be me. This is so cool. But now what that actually was just like everything calming down. And so I think for me, I loved alcohol because things were shit in my life. I have trauma. I have gross stuff going on. I was a loser. I had no job. But the alcohol calmed that, and it made me feel like less of a loser so I could handle my day. Mind you, I had to keep drinking or all those thoughts would come back, all those feelings would come back. And I'm also like, the more you're drinking, the more depressed you're getting. So it's just a cycle.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah, at the end there, I think it wasn't even like a cycle. It was just a puddle. Like it was just a mess. But yeah, I think I thought it was working for me for a long time, and it was until one day it switched, and it was like, oh, I need this now, and I don't know another way, you know?
Yeah. Emotional sobriety.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I guess like looking back on sobriety, what really like helped me was just like finding who I am. And I go to CA meetings, and I feel like going through the steps has really like helped me be confident in myself and like have that to go back to like my community there. Because coming out of rehab, then like completing the steps with my sponsor, like it is like a different person. Like I was so scared coming out of rehab, and then like completing the steps, I'm like so confident. Everyone in the meeting tells me like I just walk in there with such like confidence, and everyone asks me like why I'm so confident, and it's like really because I've done the work to know who I am, to know and to forgive myself, to forgive who I was when I was an alcoholic, and to come to terms like with that is a part of my life. And I am grateful at the end of the day to have gone through that, because I think it makes me who I am today, not being like ashamed of what I've done.
When I got out of rehab and I got back into therapy, I was working on some tough shit. We just talked about that the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, remember summer you were so mean and angry? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
she
yes,
was just
I did.
like, so quick to trigger.
I was
that was,
yelling
like-
at cops. Like I was yelling
Yeah.
at men on the street.
I was like after your first year.
Was that
of
after my
sobriety.
first? Okay, it was
'Cause
after
it was
my
the
first
summer.
year. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like a rough time for you, because you were talking about everything in rehab, and I related that to like step 4, because my
Yeah.
boyfriend's doing step 4, and it's really a lot. You have to write down everything that you've done, and it's really hard to do that.
And it's hard to do that without alcohol.
Yeah.
It's so hard because I'm like, the thing that I've been masking and pushing down my whole life is still here, and now I can't push it down. So I have to fucking work on it. And that, oh my God, I swore. I'm sorry. Are we allowed to swear?
No, that's okay.
Okay. But I was like, and then it was just like every day, I'm like, what am I doing now? I have to work on this, and I'm not allowed to medicate. I don't want to do any of this. This sucks, you know?
But then how did you feel after?
But then, well, that whole summer was rough. But then, yeah, it's like you have to get through it. I just kept telling myself that. I'm like, this is as bad as it's going to be, and I'm doing a really good job not drinking about it. Because eventually this is the thing that's going to kill me. I'm going to drink about this for the rest of my life. So it's like, well, I might as well just sober up and do it. But that was hard.
And everything's like so temporary, right? Like those feelings are so temporary. If you remember that, it's easier to get through it. Like what you're feeling right now isn't what you're going to feel in 6 months from now.
Yeah, one day at a time for sure with everything.
Full shock.
Yeah. So you talked about like even a trigger, an environmental trigger of the dog park when you came out of rehab. And then it sounds like even just digging up some of the past stuff was a trigger for you. But for you both, what were some of the triggers in your early sobriety?
What wasn't?
Yeah.
That's how I
I
felt.
feel like I remember walking the streets and seeing all the signage about alcohol like outside of bars. I remember just being like so pissed off at the world, being like, why can everyone drink but me? Like, why do these bars have signs like, oh, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or like Thirsty Thursday, whatever. Like, I didn't want to see any of that shit, but I had to rewire my brain to be like, I'm not like everybody else, and that's okay. Like, I'm not allowed to drink, they're allowed to drink, and that's literally okay. The world is not out to get me. I'm just different.
Yeah.
And like kind of embracing that. Like I always say, like I'm better than everyone else because I don't drink. But at first I thought like everyone was out to get me, and that was really hard. But just switching it.
Yeah. I think everything was a trigger for me. Like I said, there was not one single thing I did without drinking. The nail salon, getting a massage, going to the doctor, going to therapy, talking to anyone on the phone. I don't like to FaceTime as much because I only really like to get drunk and do that. So when people would call me, I'd be like, "Oh, I should get oh, right, I don't drink. I'm not doing that." So just kind of everything, every single thing, every single day I found was taking a shower, washing my face, putting on my There's nothing that wasn't a trigger. And so I just had to start thinking of my life as like, yeah, this is hard. Your life is hard because, yeah, you're special and everything around you is just going to be difficult for a little while. Rather than being like, go to my safe space or do this. It's like, no, everything is unsafe. Deal with it, you know?
Feel difficult now?
I don't know. Like there's whenever like I feel like triggered or anxious, like I just like leave the situation. Like I'm very like good with boundaries now. Like even like I feel like family is such a big trigger always for some reason.
For some reason.
I wonder why. But I think like they all know that if I'm not feeling good, I just leave the room and go to bed or go home or I just leave. And having that option of whenever you don't feel safe, leave is really important, because if you start to just push yourself and stay, it gets like scary. And I've definitely stayed too long before, and even like situationships with friends, you know, I didn't speak up for myself and I almost did relapse. So it's kind of like knowing what your boundary is and not letting anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
Sonia's really great at boundaries. She's really good. If we're like staying at her house, she's like, 8 o'clock, time to go to sleep. Let's go to sleep. Like she's so good at it. Yeah.
It's not go to sleep. It's like, you don't have to go to sleep, but we can no longer interact. Like,
I know.
My social battery is like depleted.
But I get it because I'm like that too. I'm not as good with my boundaries as Sonia is, but she's like so good at them.
Yeah. I'm not good at boundaries. I just don't go out. Like I just
that's what I'm like.
Yeah. I'm like,
So
I'll go
with
out
you
for a dinner.
Yeah. So like, you just don't go out.
Yeah. I do now a little bit more, but I didn't want to deal with the like, am I going to have cravings? Am I going to feel bored? Am I going to do this? Now I do, but there's never really a situation where I have to be like, okay, I'm cutting this off now because I'm really only out until like 8.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I kind of set myself up like that.
I'm going to a concert on Thursday and I've been like psyching myself out for it for like 2 weeks because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be past my bed. Florence and the Machine.
Oh, hell
fun.
yeah. Oh, fun.
Nice.
Again, yes, for like the 5th time. Yes.
Going with Heather? Not this Heather, but are you going with Heather?
Yes, I'm going with my bestie. We go all the time.
That's so nice. Yeah. Do you do like a non-alcoholic beverage when you're there?
Yeah, because actually my best friend is also sober.
Nice.
Weird that like, and we were not, when we met, we were not sober, her and I.
Cute.
Who got sober first?
I got sober from drugs first, from cocaine first.
Winner.
And actually, I remember this because she was mad. My best friend was a little bit mad when I got sober because I was no longer the fun.
Yeah.
I used to like gather all the people. I used to be like, my place used to be the epicenter of all the fun times. And then when I got sober, that was no longer happening. So she was mad at me for a while. And then she ended up getting sober. And I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So now we go to Florence and the Machine and don't drink together.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, that's the best. Your sobriety is ruining my fun.
I know. That's kind of how
totally.
How did friendships change after you stopped drinking? Speaking of friendships.
I think like I was like, nothing needs to change. I'm sober, but I'm still cool. So I'm going to hang out with all of my friends still, even though they all still drink, and I'm going to be fine. And that I think was like there was a summer I stopped going to meetings like after a year of sobriety. And like there was a summer where I almost relapsed because of like not going to meetings and just like faking being okay with certain people like all the time. So I think that was kind of like something I had to learn and something I had to shift, because my best friends in my drinking aren't going to be my best friends in sobriety. So I think like allowing myself that change, like I still love the people that I used to drink with, but it's just shifted. The relationships are different now. In early sobriety, I didn't allow that to even be in my mind at all. So allowing that to be different was a good thing. And I think I made more sober friends also. Like I have my sober friends at the meetings. Obviously, I have Heather, and then like a new friend who I knew from drinking, but she doesn't drink anymore either. So me and her reconnected. So just making more sober friends, and that is amazing, because like those relationships are the ones that feed me the most. I love going out with my friends who drink, obviously still, but it's a different relationship now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we have definitely different situations with friendships, because I spent the last few years just no friends. Like I had friends that I would FaceTime, but really there's one person, well, there's a little group of friends I had that when I stopped drinking, I realized like, oh, we don't have much in common. We're just work friends. And then we go and we get fucked up. But like, I don't really care about anything that you have to say. And I just don't think you care about anything I have to say anymore. And that was an interesting one, because it wasn't a fight. It was just like, we kind of just drifted. And it was like, yeah, I don't think we like each other. The first few months, I was scared to do anything. I was scared to go out. I was scared to, I didn't have any friends, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And then when I met Zoe, I like had to really think about it, because the way we met, Zoe works at a med spa, like a skincare clinic. And I walked in and I was like, I'm not spending money on alcohol anymore because I'm sober. What can you do to my face?
And I was like,
Right.
oh, she's
Love
sober.
this.
Yeah. And Zoe's like, I'm sober. And I was like, why? What's wrong with you? And then we just became friends that way. But I really had to, because there was a few times Zoe invited me out for dinner and I was like, no, just because I'm like, I'm not ready to commit to a friendship. Like, I don't think that I'm a good friend. I don't know how to really do that. So I really didn't, I was like, I'm good with my sobriety and my dog and my apartment. And then at some point I was like, no, I have to give in and go out to dinner.
Yeah, like it took me, I had to invite her out a lot. It was a hard one to get, but worth the wait.
Yeah. But I didn't know how to like have a friend, because I was a very flaky friend before. And that was because I was an alcoholic. But like my brain didn't really know that. It was just like, well, yeah, you're an alcoholic and you're a piece of shit friend. So don't try. But now I have like few friends, but I love them.
You know, I'm a relationship therapist, and I often say that we actually don't need packs of like 20 people. We need like 2, 3, 4, maybe really close friends. And that's actually like sure, we can have lots more, but if we have that, that's good. Like that's what we actually need as humans.
Do you think men should have a lot of female friends?
Oh my gosh, do you want to do a whole episode on this? This is like a whole...
No.
Do I think... Okay. I do
My
think
ex-husband
that...
had a female friend, okay? Let's
okay. Have to be careful what I say.
Depending on the friend.
Yeah, let's be careful about what... Yeah, because
I don't know.
You know...
I think that it depends on the nature of the friendship for sure. Like I have male friends, but they've been my friends since I was 14.
Sure.
And they're married with kids, and like I think the nature of the friendship is different. So if I started telling my male friends things that I wouldn't tell my partner, that's a really big warning sign.
Interesting. Okay. That's kind of what we're talking about right now. We've been in and out of it.
Yeah, I don't have any male friends because I've ended up sleeping with all of them.
Yeah, she has sex with them and I just hate them.
Okay, so that's what I mean by the nature of the relationship, right? Like I would definitely never sleep with my male friends, like ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Maybe that's what it is. If I can look at a friend and be like, oh, I absolutely won't sleep with you, then we can be friends. That's what it is, and vice versa.
Yeah.
For me to be like, I'll never sleep with you, like they'd have to be like pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And they'd have to, it would have to be like, there would have to be a physiological issue. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's though, like, there's nothing physically wrong with my male friends, but it's the nature of the relationship. They're like, first of all, I love their wives. I respect their families. I also am like, I don't know. It's just the nature of it. It's just, it's not there. Plus, they're older friends. Like, they've been friends of mine for a long time. Would I make a new male friend now? Probably not. I'm going to say, okay, that's just a personal, I'm not saying that people shouldn't. I'm just saying like a personal preference. I can't say, I bet my partner, he's not jealous at all, but I think he'd be like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Who's this?
Yeah.
No new friends.
It's also like, I don't like value men's opinions as much.
I think that's
Like, I don't even. No, like if I want to talk about my life, like, or if I want to talk about, and like, honestly, I think it's partly because I am very like girly and I want to talk about skincare and this and that and like my clothes and like, and sex. And like, I don't know. There's just like a comfort. I think like there's also like I've been talking to a lot of women about like women AA meetings and that like women can't share in mixed meetings as much or they don't feel that comfortable. And I think I feel the same way about friendships where it's like I don't know what question or what advice I want from a guy or like that I wouldn't get better from my female friend. I don't know. I just feel I don't know.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I always say it's just like hard for me to even pay attention when a man is talking.
Yes.
So like I always am like, wait, what are you saying?
Going back to friendships and sobriety, I really now with my friendships, I can't really entertain a small talk friendship. Like I can't. Like
me either.
Like when I meet someone now, I gotta figure out your trauma so fast.
Yes.
I'm like, and if I meet someone who I can sense isn't going to be open to that, I'm like, oh shit, why did I sit here? You know, like I need to know about your relationship with your dad. Like I have to know what happened to you. You know,
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I sometimes think it's like an occupational hazard. Like that I am like asking like deep questions right away. But honestly, if someone can't be vulnerable for a second, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, sorry, that's my job. I'll move on to somebody else. Thank you.
That's what it is too. I don't feel like I can have that depth with a man. With my girlfriends, like we go out and like, I can't tell you how many times sentences start with, oh my God, my therapist said. And like, I'm not going to do that with some guy. Like,
no.
Okay, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here because I felt the same as all of you about male conversations, but because I see so many couples now, I am like a huge fan of men now because I know. Sonia's like dropping the mic because I guess it's because I'm seeing
what
men
in the Joe
therapy.
Rogan is going on here?
No, because I'm actually seeing men in therapy and what is like moving me to no end is like I see men come in a lot of time. If they're in a heterosexual relationship, their wife or partner is kind of dragging them into couples therapy. And I have seen so many men crack open and be like vulnerable and share. And I actually I think it's a shitty, it's shitty that we live in a society where men feel like they can't share emotions, where they can't be vulnerable, where they can't be like, oh, my therapist said. Like, I think a lot of my clients now are like my therapist said. And so I'm seeing maybe a different take on it.
Yeah.
And they're out there.
It's possible. I know. And I do get that. One of my big things coming out of rehab, and again, with the alcohol, I have a really big issue with men. Like my moral anger towards men is something I found out in rehab. And it's rough. I have a weird relationship with men. I was like assaulted as a kid. And so I don't give a shit about men and their emotions. But I've had to, it's all good. I've had to really learn that it's like, okay, I don't hate all men. I hate men who manipulate and get away with things and are never checked by other men and just continue to grow until they're the president of the United States and leave everyone in their dirt path.
you hate the patriarchy.
I hate the patriarchy. I hate it.
Same, girl. Same.
hate
I hate
it.
the patriarchy too.
Yeah.
And the therapy I practice is anti-patriarchal. It literally is like I have the patriarchy in my mind all session long. And so it's actually, it sounds like just how you described it, what you actually hate is the patriarchy and what it's done.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm like, no, it's all men. Fuck it. I don't care about all the semantics. You know?
Yep. Fair. Totally
But we're
fair.
learning and we're growing.
Yep.
Now that we're talking about this, I kind of want to talk about dating a little bit, which is something I had to learn how to do sober, which was like terrifying, and learned to do in Toronto, which was fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad out here.
I don't know what's wrong with these men.
No.
But there's
either.
so yeah. Did you date sober? What was it like dating sober? I am just gonna say terrifying.
Yeah. I had a rehab boyfriend. We both had rehab
Yes,
boyfriends.
we did.
I think my rehab boyfriend was really important to come out of rehab because he showed me like the meetings to go to. He had been in and out of rehab multiple times, so he knew what to do. And so him guiding me on like this journey out of rehab was really nice. And he like helped me find my sponsor, but then he relapsed. And I had a decision to make. I was like, okay, am I gonna like try to support him in his like relapse and get sober again? Like, do I have the capability to handle that at 3 months sober at this point? And I was like, no, I don't have the ability to do that. And so I cut him off and I just dived in more with my sponsor and really like committed to the program more because I didn't have him to lean on. The first 3 months of rehab, I was really just leaning on him for my sobriety, if I'm being honest. And then after he relapsed, I had to lean on myself, and that's where all the growth really started to happen. And then dating after him was just like fun. Like I was really just like looking to like explore my sexuality and just like explore sex in sobriety. And I definitely like wasn't looking to like date anybody. I was just like looking to have fun. So I never really thought too much of the dates that I was going on. Like I was just there to have fun, and I did, and it was like a lot of interesting stories that came from it.
She passed one over to me. I volleyed that.
Yeah. Yeah. We are sister. Is that sister wives?
No, but
No.
the term for it is kind of racist. I think it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's cut that.
What? Of passing over a
You know when people would say like Eskimo brothers if you've like hooked up with the same girl. So cut that. But
I like
Yes, we
sister
can't say
wives,
that.
but that's
we can't say that. But that's I don't know if there's like another actual term.
sister wives is like a Mormon thing, right?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
watching
yeah.
a FLDS documentary right now on
Yeah,
Netflix.
girl.
It's like pretty
That
intense, and he has like 23 wives.
I started that last night. I hate
Me
it.
too.
I hate
We
it.
love cult shit.
Yeah.
I love cult shit. This one's
love cult
amazing because the cult actually makes you hate men so much. Watching this,
Yeah.
like fucking like
no, really?
Yeah, he's like this overweight, fucking
I have to watch
stupid,
this.
Yeah.
not successful guy. He has like no good culty qualities.
They
I don't
can do
know.
anything.
Yeah, how did he do that? Like,
Yeah.
if he could start a cult, I should start a cult. Like, this
I
guy's
know.
a
Yeah.
loser. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know. It's
Speaking
really
of
crazy.
dating,
Dating, I also had a rehab boyfriend. But that made sense to me because anytime I've ever gone on like a vacation or camp or a school field trip, I am like trauma bonding with a boy. Like that is my thing. So it wasn't like surprising to me that I had a rehab boyfriend. We did date outside of rehab for a little bit, but he is not single, so that had to end. But I was dating. My biggest problem with dating was like I hadn't done it sober ever really. I hadn't had sober sex. I don't know if I'd had like a sober kiss. Like I just never done any of it before because I was drinking since I was like 20. But going on dates with men, I was dissociating. Dating was a big one for me because I was dissociating during dates. I was getting nauseous during making out. I was having sex and throwing up. Like fully. I like had a session. Zoe's godmother is a sex therapist, and I had a session with her because I was like, I'm dating this guy and we've been dating for months and I like him. But when we have sex, I am vomiting, like fully running to the bathroom. I got rid of that guy. But even I'm dating someone now, and in the beginning of it too, I had explained to him, and I think that's what I learned, is that like, be open. I was open about my sobriety in the beginning, too open. I was kind of weird. I was very manic on dates. I was like, I don't know what these people want from me. I'm sober. I'm a weirdo, da da da. And then it was kind of like, calm it down a little bit. Say you're sober. If they ask questions, answer. Like, nothing has to be so crazy. And then it was a challenge of like trusting my body. Because what I realized was like, my body has been having drunk sex, or sex has been happening to me forever. I'm not a part of it. And my body is terrified. Like, my body doesn't understand this. So it's like, it's doing whatever it can to get out, and throwing up is a really good way to get out of sex. Yeah. So I think that's what it was doing. And it took time. And even still, sometimes I'll be like intimate with my boyfriend and I'm like, ooh, like I get a little nauseous just because I'm starting to like dissociate a little bit or think too much or whatever. But dating for me was rough out of rehab, getting sober, but it's getting there. But I never wanted to stop because I am very horny and I loved men.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, can you shed any light on that? Like, for us, that reaction?
The vomiting?
Yeah.
Like my reaction?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if Kathleen's got, like, if you've ever, like, had clients with this or like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it was,
so-
yeah.
I mean, so a couple of things. One, you can have that as like you described it as like, oh, like you're dissociating or you don't want it to happen. And so that's how your body's reacting. I've also seen it where people are actually like having a huge release, not necessarily a happy release, like a release of some kind. And so it actually becomes physical.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. I
So,
mean, it did
two
feel,
ways. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It did feel connected to something. Like, I was very aware that I was scared.
Yeah.
And not of my partner. That's the thing. Like, I was never scared of my partner. But my body was, and I could not tell my brain and my body to get it together. So, and that was rough too, because my first partner after rehab that this was happening with, he had issues. He had like emotional issues, body issues, and he couldn't handle that. I would get nauseous, and then he would get upset that, because he's going through stuff too. And I couldn't explain to someone.
Personally.
I couldn't explain to him that I'm dealing with something that has nothing to do with him. When you're in it, you don't like your body, and someone's nauseous around you. It's like, oh, I'm disgusting.
He's
So that
taking it
wasn't
as
gonna work.
rejection, right? He took it
Totally.
as rejection. Yeah.
Totally.
I get that. Yeah. 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 I think like I've definitely heard it before. So, yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not alone out here vomiting in
You're
bed.
not.
Yeah.
No.
You're better though.
But it's better. Yeah, it is better. It was just, it was a lot of time. It was a lot of talking about it. Like, everybody knows about my sex throwing up.
Yeah.
But it really, and it was annoying, but it does just take so much time. I'm 3 years out, and I'm
does.
finally like, okay, I'm pretty good with my current boyfriend.
Yeah.
Current boyfriend.
Yes. Yes. Okay. One last final question and then we'll wrap it up. But what advice would you give someone on day one of their sobriety journey?
I love that question. I think it changes every time I get asked that question.
Day one.
I think
Just like focus on what's happening to you right now. Like try to live as much in the moment as possible. What you did yesterday doesn't matter. What you're going to do tomorrow doesn't matter. If you just like live in the moment and don't drink today, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I like to do, when I got out of rehab, I like to do this thing where it was like, what will happen if? So if I had a craving and I'm like, okay, well, if I drank right now, then I would get too drunk. And so when I met my sister, she would know that I'm drinking. And then we would fight, and I would have to lie to her about something and then come back, probably never talk to her. She'd tell my parents. They'd be like, it would be a whole thing. And I do that now. I can get from point A to point Z really fast. But in the beginning, it was like, okay, follow that thought. you know? Another big thing I will say, and I just did this the other day, I went to a party and there was weed, there's cocaine, there's alcohol. I'm smelling it all. I want it. And I was like, I'm usually pretty good. And I was like, I'm overwhelmed. And so I went into the other bedroom and I just out loud to myself say, I want to drink because everyone's drinking and I don't really know anybody and I'm uncomfortable. So I want to drink alcohol. And as cheesy as it is, saying those things out loud, giving it a label, giving your cravings a reason to be there is so helpful because you're just like, why do I feel horrible and nuts and angry? And it's like, well, yeah, because you're stressed out, babe, and you can't do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And then it's okay. I always say that. I talk to myself out loud all the time.
Yeah.
Those are my pieces of advice.
Those are great pieces of advice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Heather and Zoe, so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you and hear a bit about your story and how you navigated through early sobriety. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I would love to have you guys come in to the studio and we can do this again over here. This is so fun because I have so many questions now. You asked us all about our things and now I'm like, well, now I need to know about their trauma. And their relationships with their dad.
I mean, just put it this way, we're ex-sister-in-laws. So there's like a lot of trauma here.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Well, then let's book something in because that'll be so fun.
Yes. Please.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for joining Sisters in Sobriety. And we will see you next week.
This was Sisters in Sobriety.
Thank you for listening and being with us today.
If you want to learn more about sobriety and meet your community, find us at sistersinsobriety.substack.com.
Are you a sister in sobriety? Then reach out on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
If you're feeling generous, leave us 5 stars and a review and follow us wherever you listen.
You'll never miss an episode. Until next time.